Have you ever had an animated series or an animated film that has had a huge impact on you? Maybe a series that comforts you in times of doubt or insecurity, or maybe just a series that is rich in world building or characters, or maybe a series that has given you a new perspective of how you see yourself in the world around you. You see, animation has the power to provide all of these things and more due to it not being limited to the laws of real life, but instead being limited to the bounds of an artist's imagination and its ability to bring that imagination to something tangible. While difficult, it is for this reason that storytelling through animation has so much potential. Yet, despite this, many traditional Hollywood film writers and producers believe that animation is something for children, incapable of creating deep and complex stories, and that if you wanted to create an animated series with deeper themes or concepts, you would just have to go to something like Adult Swim or anime. And oftentimes, it is because of this simple belief that many talented animators and writers in the industry have been completely unable to portray certain themes or ideas without having to worry about cancellation. This is shown in series like The Owl House or Steven Universe, when the creatives working on these series had dared to portray deeper and bolder themes on live TV and were practically cancelled for it. One might argue that this is their fault for trying to show these types of things on a kids TV show, and that kids wouldn't have even been able to handle this type of storytelling in the first place. But I believe that this type of handle on animation can be harmful to the entire medium as a whole, because even if the series is a quote-unquote kids cartoon, limiting any series to only one type of audience is how a story can lose what makes it special in the first place. Its ability to reach the hearts of any person, regardless of age, race, or gender. A series that can offer something to all walks of life is what makes a series unforgettable. And there are so many different animated series in the past that have tried to expand its reach beyond just one group of people. Animated series that, despite being made for children, still try to create pieces of art that leaves a mark on its audience. Series that people, no matter how old, can go back to and still find something new each time that they watch it. Unfortunately though, series like these that get too bold are oftentimes punished for portraying themes that are considered too deep or too mature, where artists many times out of 10 don't even have full creative control over their own story, where corporate meddling like censorship and cancellations can generally get in the way of creativity. And look, I am not here to argue that big companies like Cartoon Network or Disney are terrible for doing things like this. In fact, I think that it's a good thing to stop a show from getting too dark or to prevent another Courage the Cowardly Dog. Seriously, what were they thinking making this? Like, can kids watch it? It's just freaking terrifying, bro. And corporations censoring shows like these in order to protect children is a genuinely good practice, but only if it's done right, but not when it comes at the expense of creative freedom. When corporate meddling gets in the way of an artist's ability to portray deeper, more personal themes that are made to resonate with the audience, that is when corporate intervention becomes an issue. This is shown with artists like Olin Rogers, who are working on an animated series called Final Space, a series that he had dreamt of and worked on for over a decade. But 3 seasons before its intended end, the series was completely cancelled. But not only was it cancelled, it was completely scrubbed and wiped off of every single platform that it was airing on, meaning that there were no more legal ways to watch the series. And you would think that such a cruel cancellation would be with good reason, right? No, the reason why it was cancelled, completely wiped away from every single platform that it was airing on, wasn't even fully because of creative disagreements. No, it was because of a friggin' tax write-off, meaning that this show was practically deleted in order to cut costs and save money for the company. This is what too much greed and a lack of respect for animation and art gets you. Companies like these that only care about making a profit, not caring at all about the actual artists behind the product, are a genuine threat to the medium. This is because huge companies like these often promote simple and easy stories that don't actually pose any risk and just guarantee easy money, prioritizing quantity over quality. You know what I mean, like the countless amount of movie sequels, the Disney live actions and reboots that absolutely nobody asked for, and Big Mouth. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything else. Big Mouth sucks, bro. And especially since the only way for these artists to get their stories out to the world was to get their work serialized by the very same companies that are only interested in making money. Even outside of the thousands of artists that are working on these series, the viewers that wanted to see heartfelt, personal stories created with a clear love for the art were also getting tired of these corporations treating every series with such little care. and people started to want more experimentative films and series that didn't just sit around and baby them. Amazing series like Cartoon Saloon with Song of the Sea or Breadwinner, Studio Spa with classics like Klaus, Studio Ghibli with Spirited Away, and several other bangers, just to name a few. But studios like these produced animated films that were made for children and yet were still able to tell amazing stories that reached the heart of millions. Movies like these show that animated films can be created for wider audiences, portraying deeper themes and ideas, and still make box office success in theaters. Hell, Flow, a movie made by an indie team of around 15 to 20 people, was able to generate over $50 million at the box office. Films like those show that people want deeper, more complex stories that aren't afraid to experiment with big ideas and concepts. And circling back to the topic of seasonal animated series like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts, Amphibia, Steven Universe, Owl House, Gravity Falls, and so many others, these series found success not just because the animation or art was good, or just because it was comfortable or comedic, but because they were honest, personal, and heartfelt series that you could just tell were created with nothing but passion and an appreciation for animation and art. But although this sounds good, many companies unfortunately don't care how personal or well written a series is. What they care about is its ability to create a profit. And it is for this reason that people are getting tired of big corporations canceling their favorite animated series unjustly just to maximize their income. But it is also for this reason that people have begun to shift towards a different type of animation, a form of production separate from the traditional style of serialization, something that has been around since the creation of the internet, but has only just recently found mainstream success, and something that is also completely free to watch, mainly on YouTube. I am of course referring to indie animation. Now what makes the indie animation space right now so special is how artists are granted full creative control and freedom over their own story, creating room for so many opportunities for artists to show their works to the world. Studios like Glitch Productions, Studio Spindlehorse, and Iron Sugar's Animation, just to name a few, have had an extremely huge impact on the indie animation space and have opened the doors for so many different artists on the platform. And although this sounds amazing, and of course it is, since many of these artists' only source of income is through Patreons, merch, views, or likes, it is extremely hard for an indie artist or even a team of indie artists to launch their project off the ground without the traditional serialization from a big corporation. And creating even one episode independently costs a fortune that most artists straight up don't have. So while it is one thing to simply watch these series when they come out, I ask that all of you watching this go and support any independent series that you see, whether it's made from Glitch Productions or Spindlehorse, or just a random YouTuber trying to create a new pilot. You should support artists like these in any way, whether it's through buying their merch, supporting their Patreon, or even just subscribing or liking the video. You should go support these artists who are working hard to bring their dreams to reality. But anyways though, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and bye!